Hey guys, in this video we are going to learn UiPath JSON to data table. How can I convert the JSON data to a data table format and how this can be done I am going to show you. Before we get started, let me show you this is how the complex the JSON data appears. The workflow is supposed to read this data, convert it to a data table and store it into an Excel file. So let's see how this workflow is working and then I'm going to explain you how this can be designed. So first of all, let's quickly have a demo to understand what is this all about. So now the automation is going to fetch the JSON data from a website. And having that JSON data, it's going to convert it to a data table and finally write. So you can see it has written the data onto my Excel. Would you like to do the same thing? Of course, yes. So let's get started and learn everything from the scratch. So let's get started. So first thing, let me delete this data that I just got through the automation and let me delete this sequence and let's get started. So the very first step, because we have to get the data from our website, right? For that you have to have a package installed in your current studio, that is in your current project, that is go to official and type uipath.web, very important package. Okay, uipath.web API activities. This is the package. You need to hit on install and hit on save. I have already done that, so please install and save. Okay, so once this is done, the next activity that we have to use is the HTTP request. Okay, HTTP request. So let's drag and drop the HTTP request. Now I have to go to a website where I can find the endpoint. So what is that website? The website is reqres.in, requestresponse.in. Okay, .in. So once you are inside this website, let me tell you, there are multiple buttons here. So if I click on the first button, there is a URL and there is a kind of a response, the kind of a JSON data you will get. If I click on this, there is a different link and there is a different kind of a JSON output you will get. So here in this example, we will be using the complex kind of a JSON data. And here I'm going to use the first button and the URL shown here. Click on this, copy this endpoint and paste the endpoint. This is the API URL you can call, endpoint you can call. Okay, so if I click here, so the API link has been pasted. After that, I have to select the request method as get. The next thing, acceptance response as JSON. I would like to receive the response in JSON format. So if I click on preview, you can see how the JSON data is appearing from the website. So this data is coming from the website. So let's copy this data to a notepad. So let me copy and paste this data. So you can see how complex this data is and how can you fetch this data and do a UiPath JSON to data table conversion. Okay, so I got the data. So what is the next thing I should do? Click on OK. The next activity that I need is deserialize JSON. Okay, so HTTP request is activity. For that, ensure you have set the property for this activity. I mean the output, once it fetches the data, it should transfer the data to a variable. So for that, I am going to use the output response content and here I am going to create a variable. So let's create a variable. Let's give it some name. Let's say HTTP data. So HTTP data I have given, hit on enter. Now if you go to the variable, you will see this is a string data. This is a simple string, is getting the string data, the entire string. So how it is appearing, right? The same data will be carried forward to a variable which will appear something like this. Is not very human readable, right? It's not readable. So to make it readable, I will make it deserialized JSON so that it will convert into a proper JSON format and it will appear like this. See how it is appearing? In the same way it is going to appear by going through the deserialized JSON. So for that, the input of this will be HTTP data. Okay, let's set the output of this one, which will be create variable. So I'll say deserialize JSON, right? So I'm saying dJSON. Okay, dJSON means deserialize JSON activity variable. Okay, hit on enter. So the property of this variable is again what? JSON object. So it's going to convert that string into a JSON proper format. So JSON format is this one. Properly it is kept, and the string format is the other one, right? Simple and a complex string. So it is going to convert that complex and put it in a proper formatting. It will do the formatting, that's all. And the data type will be from string, it will convert it to JSON. So it has a proper format. So done. After that, after this, I am going to use the next activity, which is deserialize JSON array. Now, if you would like to know more, I have already shown that in my previous videos, but you can use a message box. Here one message box to see how this output is appearing. Here one message box to see how this output is appearing from this activity. So you can put message boxes and see that on your own. Okay, but again, it's quite simple. I've shown you. So the next activity which I'm going to use is deserialize JSON array. Okay, so in this, if you study this specific JSON file, anywhere in your JSON, if you see a square bracket, that means there is an array of data. So this square bracket started here for this JSON property. This is a property, data is a property, and the value is kept inside a square bracket. Square bracket means there is an array. So if you see the square bracket has started here and the square bracket is ending here. So that means all this data inside is the array of data. Like you store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if I ask you to store in an array, so what would happen? You can loop through that data. First, when you iterate, if you do a for each loop, first 1 it will show, then 2 it will show, then 3 it will show, right? So same way, this data is kept in an array format. Now I have to convert, because this is entirely in a format, but again you can't loop through that, right? You will not be able to iterate through that data. Now to iterate through this data, you need something called deserialize JSON array. So what this will do, I will tell you. So here all I have to do, I have to simply say HTTP. So what is the output of this deserialize JSON? Is DJ, I have given the name, right? DJSON. Okay, DJSON. So DJSON is the variable which is containing the output of the previous activity. Okay, now before we use this, let me show you something. Okay, so that will help you to understand why am I doing it. So let me use a message box. Okay, so what would happen if I say DJ? What I'm doing, I'm saying DJSON. DJSON is the variable, and if I'm writing inside this, I'm writing data. So why I'm writing data? As per the JSON data we have pasted onto my notepad, this is the JSON property which is containing the array of data. So if I'm passing that, what would be the output I can expect? So if I'm going to run this or debug this, what is the output I will expect? I can expect the entire output within that square bracket. Okay, this is important. Once you understand this, then we'll move further. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so look at the output. It's going to appear. How it is going to appear, just check that. So look at it, the entire output of this is now is kept inside this square bracket, starting square bracket, end square bracket, and all the data is inside this. Okay, now to make it to be able to iterate through this data, what I said, I should use the activity called deserialize JSON array. Okay, UiPath activity deserialize JSON array. So let's type deserialize. So this is the activity I should use, so that I'll be able to iterate through this each block. So each of these data is one block. So this is one block of data, this is another block of data, right? Starting with the curly braces, ending with the curly braces. So this is one block, this is another block. Likewise, it is going and until, so this is the last block of data. So how do I loop through the data? Is through the JSON deserialize array. So let's drag and drop that activity, JSON array, and here what I will do, I am going to pass this, because the output of this is an array of data, right? So I am going to pass this entry into this activity. Okay, and ensure you always write toString, because it will not accept it through, you can see there is a warning. So I am going to say toString. So let me delete the message box. Okay, so what is happening now, only when I show you the output of this you will understand. Let me delete this message box. Okay, now here let's keep the output into a variable, create variable, and I'm going to say DJ array. Okay, the output is deserialize JSON array, DJ array I have given. So hit on enter. Okay, now let's see how this output is appearing. So let's put it in a message box and see that. Okay, message box, and then here I'm going to say dj array. Okay, now what do you think? How this data will appear? Is it going to appear in block or it is going to show the entire data? Okay, let's see that. Let me quickly debug this. So this understanding, one by one, you should understand how each of these activities is working. You must understand. That is where you will have complete knowledge. Okay, so let's see. So what is happening? It is showing the entire data, but what I said, this will allow you to iterate through the data. The previous was just a string. So if I, in a notepad, if I write 1 2 3 4 5 and ask you this is the entire string, iterate, you can't iterate through a simple string. You have to put that into an array format. So if I create a variable, array variable, and I save 1 in the curly, if I write 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5, then if I use that array variable in a for each loop, I will be able to iterate. The same job is done here by the deserialized JSON array. It is just converting that to an array format. Okay, so if you see the output, the variable type, if you see, is a J array. So it is converting the same thing into an array format. So let's use a for each loop. Okay, just to understand how this one is working. For each loop. Okay, and I'm going to delete that message box. Okay, so here I'm going to pass the DJ array, the output of the previous activity, DJ array. That's a good right name, right? DJ. Okay, so DJ array I have got. So this variable which I have placed here, I can iterate through the data. So what would happen if I use a message box? Tell me what would happen if I'm going to use a message box and inside that I'm going to write item. So last time we saw it was showing the entire data. It was showing from here, it was showing everything till the end, right? Till the end of this block. Now, because I have used a for each loop, it should iterate and it should show me each element. Let's say you have created an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is going to first show 1, then show 2, right? Same way here, each element is a block of different data. So it first show this element, then it will show the second element, then it will show the third element. That's how it is going to iterate. So let's see that. So let's quickly run it and see that each element how they are appearing. Okay, so your understanding is getting clear, right? As you go one step, right? That's how you will be learning. Okay, so you can see what is the first output has come, ID 7. So this entire block has come. Do you see? Okay, now if I click on OK, it will again loop through the data, right? It's looping through the data. So next is ID 8 has come. So likewise it will continue. Okay, so let me stop this. But okay, see, ID 9 has come. So let me stop it. So you see how it is understanding, how it is looping through the data. Now our main topic is how do you really convert UiPath JSON to data table and write to an Excel. How do you do that? Okay, now for this I don't need a for each loop. Okay, I just showed you how this is functioning. So it is giving you that block of data that you understood. It is giving the block of data. Now let's use a assign activity. Let's use a assign activity. This expression which I'm going to teach you is very important. So here let's create a variable dt which is for data table and give it the change the data type to data table. So I have created a data table variable. Now I have to write an expression. Writing this expression is important. Okay, so you saw that DJ array is giving 1 data. When I'm passing, it is giving 1 block, second block, third, like that it is giving the data. We saw it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, there's an expression which is very important. How to write that expression and what is your understanding around that expression, we will see. So for this, because you are dealing with JSON kind of a data, you need to import a namespace called Newton soft.json. Just type that and click on it. It will automatically get added in case it's not there. Okay, so just type it and it is automatically get added. So just hit on enter, it will be added. So this has been added. So you need this. Without that, you will not be able to write that expression which I'm going to teach you. Okay, so this is understood. Now let's write the expression for this. Okay, so how do I write? First let's take the namespace. So writing the namespace is a good practice. You don't have, it's not mandatory to write the namespace, but I will go with the namespace newtonsoft.json. Okay, then then you have something called JSON convert. Here we would like to convert the JSON data into data table. So here I'll be using the method called JSON convert. Okay, JSON convert, and then here I'm going to say it has to deserialize. right? Deserialize meaning what? What is the meaning of deserialize? It is you saw it was converting from string to a JSON format, right? So here our objective is to convert that string to a data table. So that's why I'm using deserialize, means converting, okay, converting into a different format. So see here I'm saying deserialize object of, okay. So where, how would you like to convert? I would like to convert that to a data table. Okay, I would like to convert the data, but what would you like to convert? You pass that data here. So what is that data? Here in our case, the data is actually stored in the output of deserialized JSON array, which is DJ array, right? So ensure you are writing the variable in the proper way. So let me see what is the name I have given, DJ array, right? So let's do that. Let's go here, properties, okay, and here I'm going to simply say DJ array. So it will have that, from the square bracket to the square bracket, it will have the entire data with that. So what this will do, when it finds such an array of a data, this entire expression will only work when there is an array of data. So when it finds the array of data, it will understand each of this element has got certain data inside that, and each of this are the ID, email, first, last name, and avatar. This is something common in each of this element, and it has a value. So you should understand, before you converting anything to a data table, there has to be a column and there has to be a data. So your JSON should have a similar data, otherwise it will fail. If your JSON has, here it has got ID, email, in the second it has got ID and something else, company, or some other element is there, then they are not matching. So this expression will only work when your elements inside the array are similar, because that is how you will convert into a data table, right? So ID is there, email is there, first name is there as the row, and below that you have all the values. So first row it will have all these values, second row it will have all these value, third row it will have all these values. So remember, the formatting should be good. It is not like anywhere I'm trying to apply and trying to get the data. The formatting has to be there so that it can convert itself to a proper data table. It can be blank, it's fine. It can be, for example, Michael can be like this, but again that JSON property should be there. If I'm deleting the JSON property, then you would encounter a problem. Okay, check that out. Now here what I'm going to do, here you understood, I am passing the entire block into this expression DJ array, and I'm saying dot toString. Okay, you have to convert it to toString. It will not accept the JSON format. It has to be converted into a toString. So I'm going to pass it as toString, and this one-liner expression is very important. Okay, you may not find it elsewhere, so this is very important. So the way I have written, and click on OK. So what this is going to do is going to convert entire data into a data table. So once it is done, it is quite easy, right? Then I will use Excel process scope, and then I can use a use Excel file, and then I can point out to the file where I would like to write it. So that file is there in my documents. So let me select that file, done. And after that I need to write it, right? So for write data table to Excel, there is a direct activity in the modern design. Okay, so here I am going to say what to write. I want to write DT data table, and where would I like to write? Let it write in the sheet 1. Simple, I've done. So my sheet 1 is completely blank now. I have simply slightly formatted so that it will appear good. Okay, but if you don't format also, that's fine. So now let's debug it. So we'll go step by step and we will see how this is functioning. Okay, now you tell me how these activities are working. Okay, let's go to the top. So HTTP request will go to that request, got the data. Now it is converted to JSON. Then JSON array means it is converted to array format. Once the array format, the assign activity is executed, and it is going to write the data. Okay, let me open the Excel file. So you can see the Excel file has been written. Getting it? So it is fetching the data from a website and doing that UiPath JSON to data table conversion. Okay, so this, if you practice this, definitely you will have a lot of confidence, and every JSON file will have a different set of way we have to deal with it. You can't apply the same rule to everything. There has to be different ways to deal with the JSON, because JSON could be very, very complex thing to handle it. Okay, so this is one of the way, and every JSON will have its own thing to really, you have to apply your logic to see how you can fetch the data from it. If you know the basics, definitely it is going to help you to build the logic. Okay guys, so thank you so much for watching it. We're going to meet once again in our next content, so stay tuned. Please do subscribe to the channel because I try to upload videos on a regular basis. Please do subscribe and you will be learning a lot of things. And even in case you have already got a job and you have started working in your projects also, there are a lot of things I'm going to I'm bringing onto this platform where you will be able to get a lot of conceptual knowledge which you can take that and apply by building your own logic. Okay, so the concepts are important. So once you know how these things are working and if you are aware of those things, you will be able to build any kind of a complex situation. Okay guys, so thank you. Please do subscribe. Please give it a like to all the videos that you're watching. Please do support me as well. I need your support. Thank you guys. We're going to meet in the next content. Bye bye.